Carl Gustaf Wrangel was a high-ranking Swedish noble, statesman and military commander in the 30 Years' Torstenson, Bremen, Second Northern and Scanian Wars. A Baltic German, he held the ranks of a field marshal, commander-in-chief of the Swedish forces in Germany, and Lord High Admiral of Sweden. Wrangel was governor-general of Swedish Pomerania and since 1664, Lord High Constable of Sweden and a member of the Privy Council. He held the title of a Count of Salmis until 1665. Thereafter he was Count of Sölvesborg. By 1673, Wrangel's title was Count of Sölvesborg, freiherr of Lindeberg and Ludenhof, Lord of Skokloster, Bremervörde, Wrangelsburg, Spyker, Rappin, Ekebyhov, Gripenberg and Rostorp. From 1658, Wrangel was supreme judge in Uppland, and from 1660, Chancellor of the University of Greifswald. He held several estates, primarily in the Swedish dominions, where he constructed representative mansions. Wrangelsburg in Pomerania bears his name until today. Wrangel was a close friend of Charles X. Gustaf of Sweden. Biography. Family. Carl Gustaf Wrangel was born near Uppsala to Baroness Margareta Gripenberg and Herman Wrangel on the 23rd of December 1613. By his paternal descent he was a member of the Wrangel family of Baltic German origin, branches of which settled in Sweden, Russia and Germany. Wrangel married Anna Margareta von Horwitz, who bore him 11 children, 6 of whom died very young. The 5 children who reached adulthood were Carl Philip Wrangel, Margareta Juliana Wrangel, Polydora Christiana Wrangel, Eleonora Sophia Wrangel, Augusta Aurora Wrangel, under Christina. At the age of 20, Carl Gustaf Wrangel distinguished himself as a cavalry captain in the 30 Years' War. 3 years later he was colonel, and in 1638 major general, still serving in Germany. In 1644, during the Torstenson War, he commanded the fleet at sea, which defeated the Danes at Fehmarn on the 23rd of October. In 1646 he returned to Germany as a field marshal and succeeded Lennart Torstenson as commander-in-chief of the Swedish army in Germany. Under Wrangel and Turenne the allied Swedish and French armies marched and fought in Bavaria and Württemberg. After the 30 Years' War had come to an end in 1648, he was made governor-general of Swedish Pomerania. Queen Christina of Sweden created him Count of Salmis in Keksholmsland in northern Karelia, Finland, and afterwards augmented his lands with barony of Lindeberg in Halland. Under Charles X Gustaf, already before Christina's abdication, Wrangel became a close friend and trusted advisor of her successor, Charles X Gustaf of Sweden. Wrangel and Charles X Gustaf had first met 2 weeks before the Battle of Leipzig, and when Wrangel's oldest daughter was born during the siege, Charles X Gustaf became her godparent. Charles X Gustaf created Wrangel freiherr of Ludenhof and Lord High Admiral on the 11th of December 1657. A special favour for Charles X Gustaf left most of Sweden's highest offices vacant. When the Second Northern War broke out in 1655, Wrangel commanded the fleet, but in 1656 he was serving on land again and commanding, along with the Great Elector Frederick William I of Brandenburg, in the 3 days Battle of Warsaw. In 1657 he invaded Jutland and in 1658 passed over the ice into the islands and took Kronborg. When Charles X Gustaf died at the end of the war, Wrangel participated in organizing the obsequies and composed the melody to a lament. Also in 1660, Wrangel became Chancellor of the University of Greifswald, after he had been made supreme judge in the Uppland province 2 years earlier. under Charles XI. In 1664 he was appointed Lord High Constable of the realm, and as such he was a member of the Privy Council during the minority of Charles XI of Sweden. During the wars for Bremen, he tried to win the city of Bremen for the Swedish crown, but was not successful. On the 15th of November 1666 he was forced to make peace, and concluded the Peace of Habenhausen. During the Scanian War, Wrangel was commanding ineffectively owing to his broken health, and was recalled after his step-brother Baron Valdemar Wrangel had been defeated at Fehrbellin during the Swedish invasion of Brandenburg. Illness and death. The hardships and injuries Wrangel suffered during his multiple campaigns, combined with unhealthy eating habits, led to Wrangel suffering from several acute and chronic illnesses for most of his life, most notably gout and gallstone. He was treated at several health resorts, including Spa in August 1651, Langenschwal in July 1662 and Piedmont in the summer of 1668, yet without ever completely recovering. In 1674, he broke down, like dead, from 2 strikes of hypovolemia, and his chronic diseases made it nearly impossible for him to fulfill the tasks of commanding the Swedish forces in the Scanian War. Shortly afterwards, on the 25th of June of the 5th of July 1676, Wrangel died in his Spyker castle on Rügen, Swedish Pomerania. His body was transferred to Stralsund and remained there throughout the siege of 1678. After the battle, Stralsund fell in Danish and Brandenburgian hands, but the Danish king and the Brandenburgian elector, upon requests of Wrangel's heirs, permitted the body to be transferred to Stockholm, which happened in July 1680. On the 1st of December 1680, he was buried in the Wrangel family's crypt in Skokloster. His preserved written legacy is archived in the Gamla Riksarkivet, Stockholm. Landowner and constructor. In Swedish Pomerania, Wrangel advanced to the greatest landowner. There, he held the domains of Spyker with Balderek, Cape Arkona, Klein Jasmund, Kuusdorf, Balkwitz, Rushwitz, Stru and Wostwitz. The former property of the Roskilde bishop centered on Ralswiek, Wrangelsburg with Krebse, Spandurhagen and Zarnitz, Grossernstopp, Pritzia with Budenhagen, Giesekenhagen, Hohendorf, Hohenze, Katzau, Netzeband and Zarnau, Nonnendorf with Latze, Lubman and Viero, Milschau with Bannerman, Malzau, Sosen, Zekran and Zemitz, Brassau and Krummen, and also the islands Greifswalde and Ruden. Wrangel's AMT Sarzig in Father Pomerania was exchanged for the before-mentioned Klein Jasmund, Balkwitz, Rushwitz and Wostwitz in 1653, when Father Pomerania fell to Brandenburg. In Swedish Livonia, Wrangel held the domains of Odenpar, Rappin and Wrangelshof, with Odenpar and Wrangelshof exchanged for Pomeranian domains in 1653. Also in Livonia, he held Lua County. In Scania he held Lillo. Near Stockholm, he held Ekebyhov, and in Karelia, he held Salmis County, which he exchanged for Sölvesborg County in Blekinge in 1665. In Finland, he held property in Björna as well as in Skokloster in Uppland, and Rostorp and Säby in Småland. In Halland, Wrangel held the county of Lindeberg. In Bremervörde, he held Amt Bremervörde. Wrangel built the Gripenberg Palace in Säby, and palaces in Bremervörde, Skokloster, Spyker, Stralsund, Wrangelsburg. Wrangelsburg bears his name. It was renamed by him from Forwerk on the 19th of September 1653. His favorite and grandest castle was Skokloster Castle in Uppland, which he created substantial collections of art and expensive weapons and exotic items.